My friend, I want to give you a shout out today from our farm here in Chiriquí, Panama. And I just want to encourage you because sometimes God puts us in positions where we have to muster all the creativity, entrepreneurialism, and faith that we ever had in our lives. Well, one case in point here. We were dropped into Panama with a vision and with a mandate to start a farm to feed the poor. Well, what we didn't realize was that the farmers are the poor ones in Panama, most of them literally living on dirt floors and thatch roofs in order to eke out an existence. Even the government of Panama has said the Panama farmer is nearing extinction. They said that right before COVID hit, and we've seen extinction level events happen through the farming industry right here in Panama and through Latin America. Big problem stuff. But the amazing thing is, when you are dropped into a situation, I've always said it this way, so many times the Lord in my life, He drops me into a hole and says, "Now, son, what would you do to get out of there?" And I said, "Well, I could use a little help." He said, "You know what? You figure out how to get out of there, and then we'll talk about a bigger hole." And so I'm used to being dropped in holes and figuring out how to get out of them. And the miraculous thing is that once you start figuring out how to tap into creativity, tap into the fourth dimension, tap into things that have never been done before, being willing to get way outside the box. Well, one of the boxes would be, are you a professional farmer? No, I've never farmed in my life. I couldn't even keep a garden together before we came down here, but I have a mandate to learn how to farm and to educate thousands of others to do the same thing. Why? Because food is running short. Food and water supplies around the world are in deep trouble in the coming few years. Millions, if not billions, are going to suffer and possibly die of malnutrition and hunger. That's my driving force. We know what's coming. We are out of time. And so with that mandate, we press forward through thick and thin, through tough times, through good times, and through whatever enemies come our way, whether it's wind, hail, sleet, snow, never had snow here yet, bugs, insects, viruses, bacterias, whatever comes, that's what we fight through so that we can not only be successful ourselves, but teach others to be successful and be an encouragement to others around the world. And I want to thank you for your love, your care, your prayers, and your support, because without you, we would be nothing. Without our partners in this thing, it would not work. And so thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from the farm in Chiriquí, for all of your love and care. You know, one thing that farmers go through is they have to think on multiple timelines, multiple dimensions. They have to think short, medium, long term. They have to think summer, winter, fall, whatever the seasons would be in the zone that they're living in. They have to think of weather and when does the wind come and when does the rain come and when is the drought on, and then they have to prepare for each season that's to come. And in the middle of that, they have to successfully plant their seed, knowing exactly, sometimes to the day, when that seed will produce a harvest. It is the biggest science I've ever been a part of, and I'm just not a science guy, but we have had to learn science, and we've had to learn seasons, short, medium, and long term. And on top of that, we operate in 3 other dimensions. So not only are we farming, we're also dehydrating, and we're also constructing facilities for the future to help process and produce and to feed the poor. And we're also training people out in the third world internationally. And so we've got multiple dimensions out this way, multiple dimensions this way, multiple dimensions this way, and only the grace of God and only great faith can really do it right. I pray for faith every day. Lord, increase my faith. Give me the ability to learn this and to do this right. Thank you for your mercy. because many times I don't feel like I do it very well. Thank God for those that are around us in the team to pray, to support, financially support, and those that are right here doing a lot of the hard work that this old guy can't do anymore. With the team, we make it work and we blaze forward. Farms require a lot of maintenance. And during the windy season, which we are now coming to a close of, we lose plastic. There's 1.5 sections we lost, plus one other section so far. We're at 2.5 sections. We consider ourselves blessed. Last year, we lost 9 sections. Just a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine down the road lost 19 sections. Each one of these cost about $1,200 and some to replace when it's all said and done. And so we thank God for light winds every year, but it's part of the maintenance of growing food in a Garden of Eden environment. Every day we are operating on generator power. It takes a pretty good sized generator to fire up the big well pump that we have to run the water through the whole farm. It also takes a big generator to fire up that dehydration center and get it going. And so every day, 6 to 8 hours a day, these generators are running. We have 2 of them. There's been times both of them in for maintenance. Times that both of them have been in for complete motor rebuilds while we're renting another one. Thank God we can use cheap propane gas here to keep them fired up. Otherwise, it's about $35 a day in gasoline or about $10 a day in gas, something that we learned along the way, ways to save money. Thank God we have electricity coming to the farm. After 6 years, we're on it, and the electric company is coming shortly with the electricity that we need so we can work in silence. And these will be for only emergency purposes in the near future. Sometimes I look around like an American at our farm and I say, oh man, this thing just doesn't look right. We need to clean it. We need to this and that. But then I remember what our Panamanian mentor said to us. He said, you want to look like $1 million or you want to grow food? We said, we want to grow food. He said, then drop the American mentality. There's not enough money in food growing to look like $1 million. We said, yes, sir. And we learned a very valuable lesson that day, that sometimes what God's called us to do, America and our old ways of thinking, doesn't work in the new wineskin or the new system that we're being called to produce. It costs a lot of money to run a farming operation, especially in a third world nation where even their government admits that the Panamanian farmer is nearing extinction. But you know what? When we're able to grow jungles of healthy, nutritious spinach, and even if we can't sell it, we can dehydrate it and give it away. What makes our farming project so powerful is we're working for God. This is His farm. We are feeding His people, and that always comes with return benefits where He takes care of those who take care of His poorest. And then once in a while, we're able to sell some of this to people who have money to buy, and that helps us fund the project. One thing we know is this. If we were just to operate in the old standard antiquated format where we just say, won't you give donations and then we will do what we can with the donations you give, if we do that on our very best day, we support one farm and that's all. But our goal is not to support a farm. Our goal is to figure out secrets on how every farm can support itself and how every community can start a project, whether it's farming or creating foods or adding value or distributing foods, whatever it would be. Our goal is to help thousands of others to do the same thing, to feed the poor and to make sure, because food is power, to make sure that whoever has the food has the power. We want to make sure those with a heart, those with compassion, those with mercy towards those that have nothing, those are the ones that need to have the power. So those are the ones that need to have the food. So no matter where we're at in life, we all have struggles, and I got to tell you, mine are probably no different than yours. But you know, out here in Panama, sometimes you feel alone. You know, we're thousands of miles away from our family, thousands from our kids. There's a lot of sacrifice that has to be made daily, monthly, yearly. Why? For the bigger picture and the bigger goal of feeding God's kids. And so through that, we press forward and we work through our enemies. We find solutions where there seems to be no solutions. And our goal is not, again, to just receive donations, but our goal is to raise enough money through farming and hard work. I mean, we'll put in the first 60 hours of farming to pay for this monster and to have extra food left over so that we can give to the poor. Have extra time left over so that we can fire up the dehydrators and donate that food that we dehydrate. Those are the goals, and it takes a lot of entrepreneurialism, a lot of work. It takes a lot of burning the midnight oil. If you are in a position this day where you seem to be like, man, just to survive, I'm going to have to put in 80, 90-hour weeks. If that's the case, do it, because it's worth it. The greater the challenge, the greater the reward. And, you know, I've always heard if you want to flip a hamburger or serve French fries to someone, you're going to get paid, I don't know, well, in some places now, $15 an hour minimum wage. But if you're going to perform heart surgery, you could get paid $50,000 a day. Depending on the need you meet, that's dependent upon the reward you receive. Now, is there any money in farming in Panama? No. Zero. Is there any money in giving food to the poor? Zero. But that's not why we do it. We do it for true rewards. Some of them laid up in heaven. Some of them come later in another season. But we do what we do for the love of God and obedience to what He's called His people to do. To feed widows and orphans in distress and to meet the needs of those. If you see one hungry, meet the need. That's why we do what we do. So we want to thank you for your support, your love, and your care. We do appreciate it. We sure hope that you'll come visit us soon. And if you know anyone in the third world who needs to learn this, please have them contact us at globalfoodproviders.com. We'd be willing, ready, and able to help them get started or to move to their next level in whatever type of food distribution or farming that they're doing. God bless you.